It was supposed to be a family trip, one last summer getaway before school started. I stepped out of the hot, cramped van, the air thick with heat and mosquitoes. Uncle Mike cracked a joke, and Mom rolled her eyes. Then they told me, "Go find some firewood, Lena. Let's see if you can handle it." I laughed nervously and walked into the trees. When I came back, the van was gone. At first I smiled, waiting for them to jump out, but the laughter never came. Just silence. I sat on a log. Hours passed. Night fell. They never came back. Before we dive into this jaw-dropping story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. This true tale of betrayal, survival, and ultimate triumph is one you'll never forget. So stick around till the end and drop a comment if you think Lena made the right choice. Let's get this story in front of the world. The next morning, the sunlight didn't warm me. It only made everything look worse. My clothes were damp with dew, my arms covered in tiny bug bites. I stood up, hoping it was all a weird dream. But the van was still gone. No tire tracks, no voices, just trees and dust. My stomach growled and my throat was dry like I had swallowed sand. I started walking. I didn't know where I was going, just anywhere away from the woods. My feet hurt, and my sandals broke after only a few steps, so I kept going barefoot. After what felt like hours under the burning sun, I finally found a dirt road. Not a single car passed by. I waved at trees and shadows, hoping someone would show up. I walked with cracked lips and dizzy steps. I think I even cried, but it was hard to tell with how dry my face felt. When I saw the tiny gas station in the distance, I thought I was imagining things. It was old and crooked, like something from a black and white movie. A neon sign buzzed weakly. I pushed the door open and a little bell jingled above me. The man behind the counter looked up from his magazine. He had thick glasses and a name tag that said Ray. "You all right, kid?" he asked. I nodded, even though I wasn't. "Can I use your phone?" He handed me the landline. I dialed Mom's number. No answer. I tried Uncle Mike. Still nothing. I left a message. "I'm okay. I don't know where I am. Please come get me." Ray gave me a paper cup of water and a half-eaten sandwich from the mini fridge. "You lost?" "Kind of," I mumbled. He let me rest on a bench near the counter that night. I didn't sleep much. My body ached and my mind kept replaying the moment I turned back and saw the empty clearing. I still hoped it was some kind of prank, that they'd pull up any second with stupid grins. But they didn't. The next day, Ray let me sleep in a back storage room with a musty cot. It smelled like oil and cardboard, but I was too tired to care. He gave me snacks and water bottles. I helped clean up around the store, stacked magazines, swept the floor. I told him my name was Lena, but didn't say much else. I kept checking the phone. No missed calls, no voicemails, no one was looking. By the fourth day, I stopped asking to call. One afternoon, I overheard Ray talking on the phone. I wasn't supposed to hear it, but I had gone to the back room early and left the door slightly open. "She's still here. Yeah, maybe 16, 17. Says her family left her, but I think they just don't want her back." There was a pause. "I can't keep feeding her. I run a business, not a shelter." I froze. It wasn't just that he was right. It was hearing it out loud. Like all my fears got spoken into real life. I wasn't missed. I wasn't wanted. That night, I didn't sleep. I waited until I was sure Ray was snoring behind the counter. I packed the sandwich he'd left for me and the half-full water bottle. Then I slipped out the side door. The air was cold again, but I didn't feel it. I just walked. I didn't cry. I didn't look back. I told myself I'd never wait on anyone again. They left me once. They wouldn't get a second chance. By the time I saw the city skyline, I couldn't feel my feet anymore. Each step was a blur of pain. Blisters rubbed raw, skin broken, dirt caked deep into every cut. My clothes hung off me like soggy rags. My hair was tangled, greasy, and smelled like dust and fear. No one looked twice. People passed by quickly, heads down, eyes forward. The city was loud and alive, but I felt invisible. I found a grocery store behind a noisy street. There was a space near the dumpsters, where the wall created just enough shelter from the wind. I curled up there my first night. Rats ran past me. The concrete stole every bit of warmth I had left. I didn't sleep much, just drifted between cold and hunger. The next morning, I waited near the back door of the grocery store. I was too scared to ask anyone for food, but I hoped someone might drop a half-eaten sandwich or a bruised apple. Instead, I got lucky. A woman with warm eyes and tired hands came out carrying 2 trash bags. She stopped when she saw me. "You okay, sweetheart?" she asked gently. I nodded. My voice was gone, too dry to speak. She squinted at me and held out a plastic bag filled with leftover rolls. "I run a soup kitchen down the road," she said. "You look like you could use a hot meal." I followed her without a word. Her name was Clara. The soup kitchen was small, just one long table, a giant pot of rice and beans, and some folding chairs. The food was plain, but it was the best thing I'd tasted in days. I ate slowly, even though my stomach screamed for more. I didn't want her to know how desperate I was. Clara sat across from me, watching. "What's your name?" "Lena," I said. Then, without thinking, I added, "I'm 18. She nodded like she didn't quite believe me, but she didn't push. "You need a place to stay tonight?" I nodded again. She led me to a small building behind the soup kitchen. Inside was a cot, a fan, and a thin blanket. "This used to be our storage room. It's not much, but it's dry." I whispered, "Thank you." That was the first night in weeks I didn't sleep outside. Over the next few days, I started helping out. I mopped the floors, scrubbed pots, and learned to cook rice without burning it. Clara showed me how to stretch every dollar and how to make 3 meals out of 2 cans. Her husband, Thomas, was quiet but kind. He brought me a pair of worn-out sneakers from the donation bin. They were too big, but they felt like heaven. Nobody asked too many questions. I kept my past locked up inside. I was just another kid with nowhere to go, and there were plenty of us. But peace never lasted long. One afternoon, while wiping down the tables, I saw a woman in a buttoned coat and a clipboard walk in. Clara's face changed. She whispered something to Thomas, then turned to me. "Lena, go to the back room. Stay there, okay?" I did what she said, heart pounding. I pressed my ear to the wall and listened. "She's just helping around? Says she's 18, Clara was saying. "Do you have ID?" the woman asked. "No, she doesn't, but she's a good kid, works hard. If she's a minor, we're required to report it. Runaways are still someone's child." Clara didn't respond. My hands shook. I didn't wait for them to come check. As soon as I heard the front door swing open again, I grabbed my things. Just a small bag with the shoes, a blanket, and a half-eaten granola bar. And I ran. Back into the streets. Back into nowhere. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going back. Not to a family who played jokes that hurt. Not to people who left me behind. I'd rather sleep on floors again than be someone's forgotten kid. I stopped being Lena the day I ran from the soup kitchen. I walked into a small motel outside the city and told the lady at the desk my name was Leah. Just Leah. She didn't ask for ID, just took the cash and gave me a room for one night. That's all I could afford. From there, I became a ghost. I never stayed long in one place. I washed dishes in restaurants that didn't care about paperwork. I folded towels at cheap hotels for $10 a shift. I swept up hair in salons that paid me under the table. I said as little as possible, kept my eyes down, and smiled just enough to avoid suspicion. Some nights I had a mattress. Other nights, it was just a bench in a laundry room that stayed open late. One time, I even hid in a janitor's closet at a library, clutching a granola bar and praying no one found me. No one ever did. The thing about starting over is that no one asks who you were if you act like you've always been this way. People don't care where you came from. They care if you show up on time, if you're quiet, and if you do the work. I became very good at all 3. On my birthdays, I took out a tiny notebook I kept hidden in my pillowcase or bag, whatever I had at the time. I didn't write in it. I didn't journal or dream. I just made one little scratch on the back page. One line, 1 year, 17, 18, 19, 20. That year, I bought myself a small chocolate cupcake and lit a match for a candle. I sat on the roof of a bakery where I worked sweeping the floors after hours. It wasn't much, but I'd earned it. No singing, no family, just silence and the night sky. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel sad. I felt in control. No one was looking for me. At least that's what I believed. That's what I told myself so I could sleep at night. But one cold evening changed everything. I was walking home from the laundromat, arms full of folded clothes, when I saw it. A streetlight flickered overhead, casting shadows on a telephone pole. And there, taped right to it, was a flyer. Missing. Have you seen Lena Walters? The picture was old, but it was me. My face, my eyes, my messy hair. But something about it made me freeze, like I was looking at a ghost. I dropped my clothes. My heart thudded so loud I could barely hear the cars passing. Beneath the picture it said, age 17 when last seen. Believed to be lost during family trip. If found, call this number. Her family misses her dearly. Misses me? I wanted to laugh, but nothing came out. Just this tight, burning ache in my chest. Not grief, not longing, rage. They didn't miss me. They left me. They laughed while I walked into those trees. They never came back. I waited until the moon was high in the sky, and the only thing that stayed with me was the cold. Now, years later, they post a flyer like I was the one who vanished? No. That's not what happened. I wasn't missing. I wasn't lost. I was abandoned. I looked around. No one was watching. I reached up, grabbed the flyer with both hands, and ripped it down. It tore right through the center of my printed smile. I crumpled it, shoved it deep into my coat pocket, and walked faster. Back to my tiny room. Back to my routine. That night, I stared at the ceiling, unable to sleep. Something had shifted. Until then, I'd spent years trying to forget Lena Walters. I'd buried her deep under jobs, sleepless nights, and the name Leah. But now she was showing up on telephone poles. Someone was digging her back up. I didn't know why they were looking now. I didn't care. All I knew was that I had survived. I'd made it on my own. I'd built a life out of scraps. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. And if they ever found me, they wouldn't find the same girl they left behind. Lena Walters disappeared. But Leah? Leah was just getting started. I never meant to get into tech. Honestly, I just wanted a job that didn't involve mopping floors or cleaning toilets. That's how I found Mr. Yang's shop, Byte Fix Tech. It was a tiny corner repair store with cracked windows and shelves filled with dusty cables, busted laptops, and blinking circuit boards. He hired me to sweep and organize parts. Minimum pay, cash in hand, no questions asked. But I was curious. I watched him fix broken phones with just a soldering tool and a steady hand. He spoke to the machines like they were people. When customers brought in dead hard drives, he didn't panic. He dug into them like a puzzle waiting to be solved. And I watched. Always watching. One evening, when he went to get noodles, a woman rushed in crying. Her laptop had crashed and her wedding photos were gone. I didn't think. I just tried. I'd seen Mr. Yang do it 100 times. I copied what I remembered. Somehow it worked. The files came back. She cried again, this time from joy, and handed me a $20 tip. When Mr. Yang returned, he raised an eyebrow. "You touched it?" "I'm sorry," I said. He grunted. "Good job." From that moment, he started teaching me things, slowly, quietly. He never asked why I didn't go to school, never asked about parents. He just showed me how to read code, repair logic boards, and write simple programs. I picked it up fast, faster than even he expected. "You've got a brain like wire," he said once. "Bends but never breaks." Over the next 3 years, I learned everything I could. I lived cheap, slept in the back room some nights, and used every spare second to study. I'd stay up reading open source code until my eyes hurt. I learned about security gaps, user interfaces, how people think when they touch a screen. Then came the app. I didn't build it for money. I built it because I wanted to make something mine, something no one could take or laugh at. It was a safety app for women who walked alone, an alert system that worked even offline, sending encrypted location signals to a chosen contact with just one tap. I called it Vigil. I launched it on a small forum. I expected maybe a few hundred downloads. It exploded. Thousands downloaded it in the first month. Then tens of thousands. News blogs started writing about it. Safety groups shared it. Even the police started mentioning it at workshops. Then came the calls, investors, tech podcasts, journalists. They wanted to know who I was. I panicked. So I built a new name, Elara Systems, registered the company under a legal alias, set up a virtual address, spoke to everyone through a voice filter and email. Leah wasn't just surviving anymore. She was building something. By 25, I had my own apartment, a quiet condo in a high-rise, walls painted soft gray, shelves full of books and plants I kept alive on purpose. No pictures of family, no reminders, just peace. I thought I'd escaped. Until one morning, my assistant buzzed in. "There's someone here to see you. Says he's a journalist." I sighed. "Tell him to send an email." "He says it's personal." Against my better judgment, I said, "Fine. 5 minutes." He walked in holding a manila folder. Middle-aged, wore cheap cologne, and had a kind face that made me nervous. He sat down and opened the folder. Slid something across the table. It was a flyer. "Have you seen Lena Walters?" The same face, the same smile. My smile. He looked up. "Is this you?" I stared at the flyer for a long time. I could feel something cold crawl up my spine. I thought of the woods, the van, the silence, the nights behind dumpsters, the flyer I once tore off a telephone pole. I looked him in the eye and smiled. "No," I said softly. "That girl didn't make it." He blinked, hesitated, then slowly nodded. I handed the flyer back to him and stood up. "Meeting's over." He didn't fight it. He just walked out. I closed the door behind him and locked it, and for a long time I just stood there breathing. I wasn't that girl anymore. I was something else entirely. In a quiet suburb outside of Denver, the Walters home looked the same as it did 15 years ago. White picket fence, trimmed hedges, and wind chimes hanging on the porch. But behind the clean windows and cheerful curtains, the air had shifted. Detective Harper sat across from Karen Walters at the dining table. She poured him coffee with a shaky hand, trying to look composed. But the moment he mentioned her daughter's name, her eyes hardened. "Lena?" Karen said flatly. "You're reopening that case? After all these years?" "Yes," Harper replied, placing a thin folder on the table. "We received a tip. A gas station worker came forward. Said a teenage girl showed up barefoot and scared. Matched Lena's description. Left before anyone came looking." Karen scoffed. "She probably ran away. She always had a flair for drama." Across the room, Uncle Mike let out a short laugh from the recliner. "She couldn't even handle a silly prank. I bet she's waitressing somewhere in the middle of nowhere, still blaming us for her own meltdown." Detective Harper didn't smile. Instead, he opened the folder and revealed a torn flyer. Aged, creased, and folded down the center. This was found in the city 2 years ago, torn off a pole, same version we distributed during the original search. Karen barely glanced at it, but Harper wasn't done. "We traced activity linked to someone using an alias, Leah Tran, who matches Lena's age and background. The trail led us to a registered tech company." He tapped a page in the folder. "Elara Systems." Uncle Mike stopped laughing. Karen blinked. "Elara what?" "It's a rising tech brand. You've probably used their safety app, Vigil. It went viral. The founder has stayed private, never given a full interview, but based on timelines, locations, and witness confirmations, he paused. There's a high probability it's Lena. Karen's jaw clenched. She'd never be smart enough to build a company. Harper stared at her. Smart enough to survive 15 years alone. He stood, packing the folder. I've reached out to her last known shelter. I'll be heading there next. Hours later, Detective Harper sat in a small kitchen, sipping chamomile tea with Clara. She was older now. Lines on her face, but her eyes still held warmth. The kind of warmth Lena once described as the first real kindness she'd ever known. I always knew she was special, Clara said, stirring her tea. Didn't talk much, always working, always watching. But she had a spark. She used the name Leah, right? Harper asked. Clara nodded. Said she was 18, I knew she wasn't. But something told me not to ask. She'd run from something bad, and she wasn't ready to face it. Who was I to force her back? Did you keep in touch? No. She left before child services could show up. Took only her blanket and a half bag of rice cakes. Never said goodbye. Harper looked down at his notes. She's changed her name, built a new life. She's protected it for a reason. Clara smiled faintly. Maybe she didn't want to be found by the same people who made her disappear. Back at Lena's condo, the television flickered with breaking news. Missing girl from cold case believed to be tech CEO. Alara Systems founder possibly identified as Lena Walters. The girl who survived. A mystery unraveled. Lena stood across the room, arms folded, face calm but unreadable. Her assistant knocked softly. Do you want me to call your lawyer? Lena shook her head. No, let them talk. She turned off the TV. She hadn't said a word to the press. Not one interview, not one post. Her silence echoed louder than any statement. They were painting her as the survivor, the child who overcame the odds, the abandoned girl who turned pain into power. But she wasn't ready to play their game. Not yet. This wasn't about fame. This was about truth. And when she was ready to speak, she would choose every word carefully. Because the people who left her behind, they were finally watching. I didn't want revenge. Not really. I just wanted them to see what they threw away. I spent months planning the event. The venue was a glass palace in the city, high ceilings, soft lights, and a stage that shimmered like the future. It was a celebration of Alara Systems, of innovation, of safety, of survival. But for me, it was a quiet reckoning. The invitations were custom, sealed in black envelopes with silver trim. No names on the outside, just a golden emblem, the Alara crest. They went out to investors, media outlets, tech leaders, and 4 VIP passes went to the Walters family. Karen, Uncle Mike, Ava, Riley. The moment the delivery was confirmed, I leaned back in my chair and stared at the city skyline. I didn't include a return address. They didn't need one. The night arrived fast. I stood backstage, dressed in a deep emerald gown that caught the light like ocean waves. My hair pinned up, my posture calm, my hands steady. No more dirt, no more fear. My assistant peeked in. They're here. I nodded. Through the small gap in the curtain, I saw them. My mother in a stiff silver dress, holding a wine glass like a shield. Uncle Mike beside her, gut spilling over his belt, eyes scanning the room like he belonged there. Ava and Riley stood off to the side, both dripping in designer gowns they probably borrowed just for this. They had no idea why they were here. The ballroom glowed with elegance, chandeliers hanging like stars, white roses lining every table, camera crews circling. Screens played silent clips of Alara's journey, of Vigil, of tech saving lives. My life. I watched them whisper to each other. I could almost hear it. Why would a tech company invite us? Maybe it's a mistake. No, look at this place. It's something big. Then the lights dimmed. The music shifted. The host took the stage, smiling like he knew a secret. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us at Alara Systems' first ever global gala. Tonight, we honor a visionary, a survivor, a leader. Spotlights flicked on, one after another. Please welcome the founder and CEO of Alara Systems. A pause. A breath. Lena Walters. Gasps rippled across the room. I stepped out. My heels clicked softly against the marble. The crowd stood. Cameras flashed. Some people clapped. Others froze. But all I saw were them. Karen's face turned pale. Her wine glass tilted slightly, fingers trembling. Uncle Mike's mouth hung open. Riley looked at Ava and whispered something. Ava just stared like she'd seen a ghost. I didn't smile, I didn't cry, I just walked, tall, poised, whole. I met each of their eyes, and then kept walking right past them. That moment didn't belong to them. It belonged to me. I stepped up to the podium, let the applause fade. "Thank you all for being here," I said, voice calm and sure. "This company was built on the belief that safety is a right, not a privilege, that no one should be left alone in the dark, hoping someone comes back for them." I didn't say their names. I didn't need to. They say pain can either destroy you or build you. I chose to build. A few people in the crowd teared up. Others nodded. Karen still looked frozen, like her brain hadn't caught up. I ended the speech quickly. I wasn't here to impress anyone. I was here to show them I didn't disappear. I transformed. After the speech, people swarmed the stage. Journalists, donors, tech bloggers, all trying to shake my hand, take a picture, get a quote. But I kept one eye on the 4 people I used to call family. They didn't come up to me. Not yet. They just stood in the corner, watching. Like maybe, if they stayed long enough, I'd come to them. I wouldn't. I already had everything I needed. Their silence, their shock, their sudden realization that the girl they abandoned, she didn't just survive. She became someone they'd never reach again. The moment the cameras turned away, I stepped off the stage. I moved through the crowd like I belonged there, because now I did. Alara Systems wasn't just a company. It was my boundary, my fortress, my proof. I felt them before I saw them. Karen, Uncle Mike, Ava, Riley, moving in fast, heels clicking, desperation in every step. Then, my bodyguard, Evan, calm, broad-shouldered, in position. He stepped directly in their path. No direct contact unless invited. Karen blinked at him, shocked. "She's my daughter." Evan didn't budge. "Still applies." I turned slowly, looked at them, finally. Karen's eyes were wide and glossy. Uncle Mike's face twisted in something between a smirk and confusion. Ava and Riley hovered behind them, suddenly unsure, like maybe they didn't want to be seen anymore. I looked at each of them, taking my time. I wanted them to feel it, the weight of the moment, the truth they tried to bury. "You left me," I said, voice low but steady. "Now I choose who gets to stay." Karen stepped forward, her voice trembling. "We were scared. It was supposed to be a joke, just a little prank. We thought you'd come back." "A joke?" I repeated. Uncle Mike chuckled awkwardly. "Come on, Lena, you're clearly fine. Look at you. You turned out great. That little stunt? Maybe it helped you toughen up, huh?" I stared at him. My heartbeat didn't even rise. "That joke cost me a childhood." My voice was cold, clear. "It cost me safety, trust, a home. It gave me nights on the street, sleeping in alleys, hungry and alone. It gave me silence. It gave me pain." Karen wiped a tear. "We made a mistake." "No," I said. "You made a decision." The room had gone quiet. Whispers passed between the guests. A camera turned toward us. I didn't care. Let them film. Let the world see what it looks like when truth catches up. Uncle Mike stepped back, muttering, "This is ridiculous." But he wasn't laughing anymore. "I built this life because you weren't in it," I said, "and I'm keeping it that way." I turned without another word, walked away. Behind me, the flash of cameras lit up like fireworks. And somewhere in the crowd, someone whispered what everyone now knew. the family who left her, was now being left behind. And that's how the girl they abandoned became the woman they'll never reach again. What would you have done if you were Lena? Tell us in the comments. We read every single one. If this story hit you hard, show some love by hitting like, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. New stories drop every week, and trust us, you don't want to miss what's coming next.